In this video, we discuss the three horizons of growth and the innovation value chain. The three horizons of growth is a concept that was put forward by Tim Castelli in 1999. It was published in a book called The Alchemy of Growth. And Tim Castelli is the Director of Entrepreneurship and Innovation at the University of Queensland. And this three horizons of growth, we see our three horizons here, and it's Horizon 1, Horizon 2, Horizon 3. And Horizon 1 is what? It's looking at our existing market that we may currently serve, and then looking at existing technology that we currently use. So looking at our technology, our knowledge of technology, our knowledge of the market, our first horizon is for us to do what? To basically stay competitive. So it's looking at our existing market and implementing innovation that will improve our current operations so that we can remain competitive. We're looking at cost reduction. We're looking at operational efficiency. We're looking at incremental changes. That goes forward with our second horizon. And that second horizon, we are looking at adjacencies. We're looking at existing markets that we do not yet serve. As well, we are looking at new products or new technology that we do not yet deploy to create those next generation products. So we're looking for adjacent growth here in this Horizon 2. We're looking to extend current competencies into new related markets and adjacent growth for next generation products. And then finally, our Horizon 3 is what? We're looking at brand new markets and we're looking at brand new technologies. So we're exploring those new markets and new technologies. And so Horizon 3 is what? It's looking for innovations that change the nature of our industry. We are looking to explore more radical ideas, markets. Another way of looking at these three horizons of growth are looking at our horizon by our type of business. What is it that management should do? What should we do from a management perspective? And what should be our primary focus? So when we look at our first horizon, and again, that first horizon was 70%. We should be spending our time 70% looking at Horizon 1, which is extending and defending our core business. So when we think of our type of business, it is that core business that does what? That is the reason for our current profitability. And what should management do? Management should be looking at those incremental changes. How can we make those small changes so that we can remain competitive? And then we want to do what? After those small changes have been made, we want to manage for value as a business client. What does that mean? What does that translate to? Manage for value. It is cost cutting. We want to look where we can squeeze those costs as tightly as possible. And so what is the primary focus? That primary focus is the bottom line for that particular horizon. So again, looking at our current core processes that are the root of our profitability today. And again, that's 70%. The next 20% is Horizon 2. And for Horizon 2, what are we doing? We are looking to build emerging businesses. We're looking at new businesses that are adjacent. So extending our current business, extending our current product, extending our current market, we're going into those adjacencies there. And what should management be thinking about? Well, management should be looking at options. Look at how do we exercise those options? What are our options? And then looking at how do we bring together, how do we recombine different technologies so that we can create new products? So those technologies that we are looking to move into, how can we use those adjacent technologies? How can we use those adjacent markets to create new products and new services that will drive our growth? And so that is actually the primary focus, is that growth, that capital efficiency, which means what, using our assets better. And then our third horizon is this one for 10%. So that 10%, horizon 3, is to look at creating brand new options for us. So it is looking into exploring those new markets, those new technologies. And so looking at what could be a future business for us. And so what should management be considering? Management should be looking at those options so that we can have future growth and test the viability of those new products. And so looking at generating those ideas, look at selecting the ideas, look at implementing the ideas and sustaining that innovation throughout the company. So sourcing those options for those ideas, those relationships, those assets, that is what management should be doing, is using that innovation value chain to move into those brand new markets with those brand new products. And so what is our primary focus? It's looking at the future potential across multiple scenarios. So again, when we look at these horizons, going back to our first horizon, do we spend the same amount of time on each one? No, we don't. We spend 70% of our time on those horizon 1 for looking at how can we make those small incremental changes that help us to remain profitable. But 20% they are looking at those adjacencies for adjacent markets and adjacent technologies, and then 10% looking at our brand new markets and our brand new technologies. So one of the things that you notice here is that the management skills are not the same. You will not have the same manager looking at your day-to-day incremental changes as the one who is looking at our Horizon 2, looking for adjacent growth and next generation products, and certainly not the one who's looking at the brand new markets that are coming open, looking at brand new technologies. Well, here's a slide of our innovation value, pardon me, innovation value chain, and we see what our innovation value chain is. We've got idea generation, we've got conversion, and we've got diffusion, spreading out those ideas. And so within our idea generation, we have, where are we going to get those ideas? Where did those new ideas come from? They can come from in-house, from our specific unit. They can come from cross-pollination, being a collaboration across various units within our company, or externally, we can collaborate with whom? With third parties. So what are some of the questions that we need to ask if we are going to generate those ideas? Is, do our people generate good ideas on their own? Does our business as a whole, our company as a whole, across the various units, do they generate good ideas? Or do we need to, if not, do we need then to collaborate with a third party? What are some of the key performance indicators? Is looking at how many of those ideas were created. So that is from our idea generation. And then after we have generated those ideas, We need to do what? We need to convert those ideas into products or services. And so how do we do that? We first have to select and then we develop. So we select the ideas by looking at those ideas, screening those original ideas, and then looking at our funding. How do we fund this? How much do we fund this? And what do we need to ask ourselves? We need to ask, how good are we at screening and funding? And what is that performance indicator to let us know how well we are doing at screening and funding? Well, we should look at what is the percentage of all of the ideas that have been generated. So whether they come from in-house or come from, whether they come from our specific unit or whether they come from our company as a whole, so the various units within our company, or whether they come from our collaboration with third parties, what is that percentage that get selected, and then finally we give money to, we allocate funds to do what? To develop those ideas. And so here in development, what is it that we're doing? We're moving from the idea to our first iteration of that product or service. So what should we be asking is how good are we at developing those ideas now that we have selected them, now that we have funded them? How good are we at turning those ideas into viable products, businesses, and best practices? And what is that key performance indicator? The same as the one for conversion. What is the percentage of funded ideas, these ones that we have selected now? What is that percentage that lead to what? That lead to revenues? How long does it take for us to actually make our first sale? And then finally, our last link in this innovation value chain is our diffusion, spreading out. How do the ideas go out through the organization? Are we good at spreading our ideas out? And so what is our key performance indicator? Is what is that percentage there of penetration in the new market with the new product? What about with our customer groups? What about with our channels, our distributors? What about how long does it take to get that product out into the market? Not just the first time, but to continue that product or that service into the market. Some solutions here, or possible solutions to improve the value chain. We have what our value chain, I'm going to make this a little larger so we can see it, is idea generation, conversion, and diffusion. And so what are some possible solutions there? So we've got various articles, we've got some books. So looking at idea generation, we've got articles here that are Harvard Business Review articles, How to Kill Creativity. When we look at cross-pollination, collaboration rules is another Harvard Business Review book. When we look at external sourcing, so external sourcing being that third party, what do we see? There's actually a book that's now pretty famous. It's Blue Ocean Strategy, written by W. Chan Kim and Renee Mauborgne from, again, Harvard Business School. And we find that as well, when we look at our Blue Ocean Strategy, it's helping us to come into a market that perhaps had not existed or not existed fully formed before. And we see that we have, as we come through when we're looking at conversion, so selecting our ideas and developing our ideas, we also have from the developing side, we have the Innovator's Solution, Creating and Sustaining Successful Growth by Clayton Christensen. And so Christensen is an enormously respected scholar when it comes to disruptive innovation. The other item that we have here, I believe we have this next. So when we talk about diffusion, we've got another article by Chen. by Kim, pardon me, and Renee Mulbern for Harvard Business Review. But Clayton Christensen is instrumental when he talks about disruptive innovation. And what he says is that disruptive innovation actually starts at the lower end, starts at the lower third of what your product and service range is. So again, thinking of Toyota, for example, coming into General Motors, they didn't come in originally with a Lexus. What did they do? They came in with a very small car that did not have a lot of frills. They were looking to market to an underserved market, or perhaps really the term should not be underserved, it should be overserved market, with all of the extra bells and whistles that a lot of consumers were just as happy not to pay for. And so that is how Toyota came in. And now Toyota has a Lexus. And that is how, what Christensen says is that and he has examples as well of mini mills replacing the big steel companies in the US, but says that we should be very careful about that lower third of our product range, of our service range, not to allow someone else to come in and basically take over, that we should not be over serving. Yes, we want to be looking at new ideas. We want to be looking at value for the customer, but as well, remember, there are a lot of customers or consumers who do not need nor want a Cadillac, who are just as happy to pay for that Volkswagen. So those are some ideas looking at how would you want to, or what were some possible solutions for improvement to the value chain. Next, when we think of innovation, we also think that that the principal link between technology and competitive advantage is actually innovation. And when we look at technology-based industries, we see that innovation is actually the fundamental source of competitive advantage. And you're saying, well, what do we mean with innovation and technology? Let's think of innovation not as invention, creating something brand new, but recombining what is already existing. Yes, do we want to create brand new? Yes, of course. But let's not forget that the recombining of existing technologies, think of the Apple phone, for example, that was a recombining of existing technologies. And now think of where Apple is today and how many people actually have an Apple phone. So that innovation is that fundamental source, that ability to recombine is that fundamental source of competitive advantage. And then finally, we have a quote that this is by Robert Grant, who's the author of one of the original strategy books that I had used when I first started the class. And that quote is, advanced industrialized countries will be forced to rely increasingly on their technological capabilities as the basis for international competitiveness. So technology, our understanding of technology, our ability to recombine existing technologies. And as well, at the bottom, we see that the management of both what? Technology as well as innovation will be increasingly more and more and more and more